Hello and welcome to this screencast on the motor unit and skeletal muscle contraction, or you may also see as a nervous stimulation of a motor unit or the nervous stimulation of a muscular contraction. Before we start on this, we're just going to recap what we've done over the past few lessons on the muscular system. So first of all, here's a muscle, and we should know by now that the whole thing together is a muscle. This white thing here is the tendon, which we're going to be going on about in a future lesson. So we've got the muscle, and then hopefully we should know that wrapped around kind of the muscle is a sheath known as the epimysium, okay, which kind of protects the muscle from friction and kind of keeps it all together. Then we have the fascicle, which are bundles that hold muscle fibers together. So this is a fascicle here that's just been pulled or yanked out. So we've got fascicles, there's loads of them within the muscle. Then we have a perimysium, or the perimysium, which again is connective tissue which holds the fascicles together. Then we've got this endomysium, which is an insulator. Okay, so it's connective tissue which acts as an insulator, and this is the light pink stuff here. Finally, this little strand here that the fascicle holds together is a muscle fiber, and we should know now that we have different types of muscle fibers. We've got type 1, slow oxidative, type 2A, fast oxidative glycolytic, and then we've got a bit of typo here, we've got type 2X, which is fast glycolytic. Type 1, example, marathon. Type 2A, 800 meters. Type 2X, high intensity, short duration, shot put, long jump, power lifter, 100 meter sprinter. Okay, so this moves us on to today's lesson. Now, your Cornell notes, you need to have notes, you need to ensure you have notes on motor unit, motor neuron, action potential, neuromuscular junction, neurotransmitter, and the all or none law. Okay, and please have it set out like this, and please ensure you've got key questions which pretty much have the description of a motor unit. We've given you, trying to give you the answer motor unit, question here trying to give you the answer motor neuron, and so on. Please ensure you make clear and precise notes on this topic for me. Before we start, you don't need to get anything down here, but it is important that you understand this now. So we've got the central nervous system, which is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, so just so you're aware, the skeletal muscle or askeletal muscle can only contract when it is stimulated by an electrical impulse, okay, that comes from or is sent from the central nervous system. So our brain, our spinal cord, has to send a message to our muscles to get a contraction. We've got different types of neurons. Again, you don't need to write this down, it's just I need to tell you so you understand. We've got sensory neurons or sensory nerves, okay, and these just carry information from our extremities, i.e. the skin, to our central nervous system. So you would have done it in science in GCSE or just a school. You get a prick on the finger, message gets sent to the central nervous system saying I'm in pain, whatever. Then you have a motor neuron, motor, muscle, kind of motor neuron, muscle neuron, okay, so motor nerves, which carry information from our central nervous system to our muscle, and then we get our contraction or reaction. With regards to the nervous stimulation of a muscular contraction, what we need to be aware of is we cannot get a muscular contraction unless we have an electrical impulse sent from here, the central nervous system, to the muscle, then we get our contraction taking place. This is really important to understand when we are learning this topic, which is regards to the nervous stimulation of a muscular contraction. Okay, so first of all, what is a motor unit and what is a motor neuron? Before we discuss what a motor unit is, we need to know what a motor neuron is. This here is a motor neuron, okay, and a motor neuron is a nerve cell which conducts a nerve impulse to a group of muscle fibers. So when I said earlier a message gets sent from the central nervous system so that our muscles can contract, the message gets sent down this motor neuron. So this electrical impulse comes all the way down this motor neuron to the muscle fiber, and then we get a contraction. The motor unit is the motor neuron and the muscle fibers it stimulates. Okay, so this whole thing here is a motor unit. So ensure you get those down, please. So a motor neuron and a motor unit. Unfortunately, this picture hasn't come out quite right. However, this is the muscle here. This is the motor neuron, and if you see these white little dashes, imagine that is an impulse, an electrical impulse, a message getting sent from our central nervous system down this motor neuron to the muscle fibre so we can get a contraction. Okay, we're going to go on about this in more detail in lessons, so do not worry. Okay, so the key terms we need to know: we should know what a motor unit is now, and we should know what a motor neuron is. We need to be aware of this term, an action potential. So an action potential is a positive electrical charge inside the nerve and muscle cells which conducts the nerve impulse down the neuron into the muscle fibres. So that's very wordy. An action potential is a positive electrical charge that's sent down the neuron to the muscle fibre. So again, here we've got a motor neuron. Here we've got a muscle fibre, therefore this is a motor unit. And an action potential is this positive charge that is sent from the central nervous system down this motor neuron to the muscle fibres. Done. Neuromuscular junction. Okay, so this is a point where the impulse has to stop due to something called the synaptic cleft. And again, we're going to go on about this in more detail in the lesson. However, the neuromuscular junction is right here, and it's a gap that's between the motor neuron and the muscle. So a tiny little bit of a gap called the synaptic cleft, and the neuromuscular junction is the point where this impulse has to stop. So this impulse has stopped at this neuromuscular junction. We want that impulse to cross over this synaptic cleft so we get a contraction. So what has to happen is a chemical, a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine is produced, and it is secreted by a neuron, and it transmits the nerve impulse across the synaptic cleft to the muscle fibre. Finally, we have something called the all or none law. Depending on whether the stimulus is above a certain threshold, depends on if we have a contraction or not. So if that positive impulse that is sent right at the start is above a threshold, we get a muscular contraction. If it is not above the threshold, we get zero muscular contraction. We get nothing, nada. We don't get a muscular contraction at all. So it's really important in this electrical impulse that gets sent from the central nervous system down the motor neuron to the muscle is above a threshold. If it is, we get a contraction. If it is not, we do not. There are your notes. I'm going to go on about this in a lot more detail and show you loads of examples in lesson. However, the key information you need to make sure you have and you understand is what a motor unit is, what a motor neuron is, what an action potential is, where and what the neuromuscular junction does, what this neurotransmitter is, acetylcholine. This is the important bit here. So we need to know what acetylcholine is and what it does. And then finally, we need to be aware of the all or none law. So get notes on that, and I'll see you in lesson. Thank you. Bye.